Hi, my name is Lisemelo Ramafikeng. I am the chairperson of the Women Network Forum. So the mandate for this video is to take you through what the Women Network Forum is set up to do. But I'll also touch on some of the things that we have done to date and how they help us achieve the mandate. Naturally, I don't like serious conversations, so I'll do my best not to keep this as strict as possible. So Vodacom has a mandate for diversity and inclusion, and in that they have enlisted the trust of the Women Network Forum to be the voice of the marginalized and to ensure that we implement strategies that will enable us to be a diverse and inclusive company. To that, we launched the Women Network Forum last year in March. When we first launched, we had a psychologist, and I want to take you through the mandate and how we achieve the mandate through the reasons why we have some of these events. So during the launch, we invited a psychologist because we believe that you can't pour from an empty cup at any point in time. So we invited a psychologist just to talk to us and prepare us mentally or give us guidelines on what we should do to come as we are, but mentally ready to do so. So we had that session which went quite well. We recognized that we as employees are also have a persona outside work, right? So so you need to find ways how you should be functional despite all those challenges. So your mental health is quite important, both at work, because are grumpy all the time, and now you have to make it work. So we recognize that. Later in the year, we had what we call career talks, right? Career talks, I think of all the events that we had was my favorite event because it talks to actually inclusion and diversity. We had quite a diverse panel of leaders of industry. Babang were quite quiet people, and Babang were and one would actually think for them to achieve a lot in their career, they probably have to be assertive, they probably have to be present in every way, shape or form. But that session showed that even in your corner, you can actually achieve more through whatever you do in your corner. So I think I liked that session a lot. The theme this year is Inspire Inclusion. And on Monday, we released a newsletter that says, come as you are. I know the newsletter talks to people about but hey, we have to be mindful, we have to be professional. But essentially is come as you are, and that's what we mean by inspire inclusion. Another one that we have that was a bit sad for us was the GBV walk. So 2 or 3 years ago, we lost one of our colleagues to GBV. So later in the year, last year, we had a march that was commemorating the passing of her. But also we were looking to make noise about GBV. And what I liked during the preparation of this was I went on radio, and the majority of the listeners that call in were gentlemen. And each showed concern in different ways. One, I liked that they were listening. I like the questions that they asked, because they were asking why our focus is only on women suffering from GBV and not men, because men also suffer. And my response kept saying, it's not that we say men don't get abused or emotionally and otherwise. We are saying the statistics has it that the bulk of the people that die at the hands of their partners through gender-based violence are women. Now, one question that was asked that I find was very important was one gentleman that said, if we're talking to women, to protect women, to find shelters for women, and not find rehabilitation centers for the perpetrators, it's futile. And for us, that was a call to say, let's look at both ways, and we are working on that. But now to focus, to expand our focus, we later had a debate, a high school debate, that was focusing on the topic of gender-based violence. And what we were doing here is to recognize that gender-based violence doesn't start at a certain age. You first experience or see your parents fighting at home, and you think this is a way of living, and then you go and mimic it later when you are a grown up. But also we recognize hore you get traumatized by this, and the only way I don't like it, we're saying from a high school pupil, you should already recognize how gender-based violence is not correct. And I was quite amazed by the research that came out at this debate, because it was quite good. And the entire time I remember thinking, excitement was in at this age. Not even at university level. But those people already know some of this. And you wonder, do they take interest in knowing them because body experience amalapeng, or obadile buka abatseba hore ho etsahala, but you already are able to pick how much from experience. And even one of them told their story of their fellow colleague who was nearly attacked on their way home, afita kamuru. And where they were talking about infrastructure also is important to ensure GBV ya fokotse. And that touched me a lot. But it just goes to show how it affects at every age. But further, and also maybe in concluding, so that I don't become long-winded, one of the asks on the radio interview was to say, it would seem that a lot of corporates focus generally in Maseru. Whatever initiatives that we have, we focus around Maseru CBD or Maseru as a town. And we should consider moving out of Maseru. And to that, we went to Marija Girls as part of our celebration of the Women's Day, and at Vodacom we celebrated the entire week. So we went to Marija Girls to have engagements with those that are at the end, grade 11s, grade 12s, just to equip them with information that probably they will need as they go into varsity life. We talked about anything from their career aspirations to how to take care of themselves, how to protect themselves, and how to be themselves in any environment and not let people take advantage of them. That's in a nutshell what we have done to date to implement or to ensure that we are an inclusive environment as Vodacom and probably have an inclusive nation. We are looking to have more events and more initiatives that will ensure that both Vodacom and the communities we live within are protective of women, children, and other vulnerable groups, because we also have the LGBTQ plus community that is quite marginalized as we speak. So we speak for all the marginalized groups as the Women Network Forum. Thank you very much.